Hello, so I know this is way super overdue from when I said it would come out, but here is my first manga review, and this is for, Naruto. And I'm sorry it's backwards, it's just my camera. But let's get started. And if it looks like I'm reading it, I am. So I make sure to go over all the points I wanted to. So that's why it might look like I'm reading. Now, Naruto was the first anime I ever watched, and the first manga, I guess serious manga, that I ever read through, so it holds a special place in my heart. But at the same time, I'm not blind to what's wrong with the series, so I'm not going to be biased either way. I definitely know there's a lot wrong with Naruto, but it is by Masashi Kishimoto, and here's the synopsis. 12 years ago, the village hidden in the leaves was attacked by a fearsome threat. A nine-tailed fox spirit claimed the life of the village leader, the Hokage, and many others. Today, the village is at peace, and a troublemaking kid named Naruto is struggling to graduate from Ninja Academy. His goal may be to become a Hokage, but his true destiny will be much more complicated. The adventure begins now. And this isn't actually the full synopsis. This is the synopsis that is on the back of the cover. The full synopsis goes over how the creature was sealed into Naruto as a newborn infant by the fourth Hokage, and that the people of the village also regard him as the demon fox itself and mistreat him throughout most of his childhood, is like the full synopsis. Now, my problems in Naruto starting there is that the first thing I really hate about this series is that the synopsis, what I've just said, and as well as reading the back cover of this, is the backstory for the whole entire story until during late Shippuden. I know there's details and everything, but that is pretty much it for the backstory for until during late Shippuden. And then there's suddenly so much more than what meets the eye. But that's to be expected. But I feel like it was added information that the reader was given too late. And what I mean by that is it felt as though Kishimoto hadn't first planned, when he started writing the series, all the background information that happens. And just so you know now, I will try my best not to spoil anything, I promise. Because I personally hate that. But that kind of thing is to be expected, but how it was put in, it was like, instead of like, it felt like he had the ideas, and then he straight away put them in the book, where he should have, slowly weaved them into the story. Would have been better. There were some things where you're like, oh, I totally saw that coming. Other things you don't. Along with adding the information too late, I feel like it was poorly given, is basically what I want to say. And it makes it seem as though Kishimoto is just like throwing in excuses for what's happening. That's my opinion. And at this point in time, when that started happening, the story itself stopped flowing. Because most people will tell you that, I'm sorry, that, the first part of Naruto is better, which I definitely think it is, flow-wise. There's much more in the story, the second part, but it doesn't flow the same as the first part, and I think that was because of how he added the information. And like I said, some things you saw and you're like, aha, I saw that coming, which is nice, because then you're like, oh, I get what's going on. And sometimes you do need that, like, oh, I never saw that coming, whoa! But there was too much that was like, I never saw that coming, and it's just like, if no one saw this coming, you know, there were definitely some things he gave good hints to that I think he knew were going to happen before he started writing, like, when he started writing the series, he knew, like, I think he knew from the beginning who he was going to make, the mask guy. I'm just going to say the mask guy. And all that. So, that stuff you could see coming, but then there were definitely things where you notice he didn't know what he was gonna do, and then suddenly did and just threw it in. So there's that. And then both of the main two characters, Naruto and Sasuke, are Mary Sue's. Simple as that. And if you don't think there's Mary Sue's, I'll leave a link to a Sue site in the below so you can see. Now let me explain why I say that. I think people can't see them as Mary Sue's because they interact too much, and I think their Sue-ness cancel each other out. But if you were to take either of the characters and put them in almost any other manga, you would see how sued up they are. Also, it's just like, even if they did have bad character traits, which is what you need to, like, get rid of Sue-ness, is having some, like, bad character traits, they are unfortunately usually, like, excused by other things, and that's, I think, why they were so Sue. If, like, Sasuke was legitimately a bad character, and it wasn't just all for revenge, and he was just kind of a bad guy, that would have been, he wouldn't have been a Sue anymore. He would be a great dynamic character, just like, instead of, all of his anger being because of a revenge fact, it would have been more, he's already angry and wants to kill people, and then revenge on top of that gives him a reason. That would have been awesome. But that's that. Now, Kishimoto has made a wonderful world full of characters, but I always feel like we know nothing about most of them. All the fillers in the anime, and they can't be strictly more about non-main characters. There are so many awesome characters, and nothing. There was just so much you could have done with the anime to make it better. And I understand why they don't have that in the manga, because manga is usually not filler and it's just go, 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 story plot. But with the anime, you could have just thrown us some stuff where Naruto's not in it, or at least in it but completely background. And I know there's some of that, but usually it's still overshadowed by Naruto. Another thing I really hated was Naruto can change almost anyone's mind. I just want one bad guy who's bad for nothing else fueling his motives other than hatred. And, like, that's what I said with Sasuke. I just want a legitimate bad guy who isn't going to suddenly change his side or whatever, or is completely, like, not, like, some of the bad guys you see who are legitimate bad guys, you only see for, like, 5 minutes. Like, I get it's a great thing that he can change people's mind, but, oh gosh, I just want one legit bad guy. Ugh. Okay, those are the main problems I have. Now, things I like about Naruto, as there is an extremely broad range of characters, making it easy for anyone to find a character they can get behind. For me, I was always rooting for Gaara, not just because we're both redheads, but because I loved his backstory. Now, yes, we have a backstory for him, but the reason, I think only the reason we have that is because he was so important in the, in being another tailed beast, another Jinchuriki. I wish I knew more about him. I wish there was more backstory about him, and all that pain he went through. Why can't you make a little filler episode of just him dealing with past stuff? Is what I want. So there's that. Now the broad range of character design. I mean, there's definitely some characters who look alike, and you can definitely see that with Rock Lee and Guy. But that's more of a hero worship thing. But for the most part, there's definitely a very broad range of character design as well as clothing. So that's really awesome. It's very interesting to look at instead of everyone kind of wearing the same things like you would see in like a school manga where everyone's wearing the school uniform. It's definitely very interesting to see all the different character shapes, the character facial designs, definitely around the eyes, I think, mostly because you have the Hyugas who have no pupils, and you have some people whose pupils are huge, so it's great. Next is the broad range of attacks and powers. For the most part, the audience isn't stuck looking at the same attack every single chapter episode, even if characters get single attack happy, which you see with Naruto a lot using his Kagibushin. Is that? His Shadow Clone Jutsu. I can never remember the Japanese name for it. But that and the Rasengan, which are like his two, for most part, his two only moves he knows. But because there are so many other characters interacting in battles for the most part, you get a lot to look at, and even if some characters have only one or two attacks, you definitely get, it's not all you see. You definitely see a lot of other things, a lot of different disciplines. It's awesome. It's very good. It's not stuck in a one-dimension fighting plane, especially with Genjutsu and Taijutsu adding on top of that. Very awesome stuff. Now, the next thing I like about it is the extremely intricate backstory. Now, I say this because the backstory is super awesome. It was given to us the wrong way. Now, my final thoughts. I know and understand why Naruto is such an easy target to hate on. Too many people hate it purely because it's popular, and some people truly hate it. But what most people forget when they're hating on Naruto is the fact it has to be at least a little bit good. Or else it wouldn't be so popular for so long. The series wouldn't be so long. If it would have lost its sellability, you could say it should have stopped at before Shippuden happened, but then there were still so many questions unanswered, so I understand why it kept going. And yes, there are some manga out there that are pretty popular that suck. I think everyone knows that. There are definitely some that you wonder why when you read them. Why are these even still being printed? And then there's amazing manga no one's heard of, but Naruto isn't one of those either way. It's a pretty, it has a very select audience, and if you don't like it, you don't like it, but that doesn't mean it is not a worthy manga of being continued printing, which unfortunately a bunch of people think. And that's actually why I did this review first, because it is the one that so many people just hate on. But I honestly give it a score of maybe B-. It's pretty good, but it's not the best, not nearly. There's definitely things that are a lot better. So that was my review for the anime and manga of Naruto, and I will see you soon, hopefully, with another one. Good day.